Welcome to Live from Med City, the online video digest of all things arts and entertainment in Rochester, Minnesota. Tonight's episode was recorded in the summer of 2020 from the Mayo Civic Center Presentation Hall in downtown Rochester, Minnesota, as part of Riverside Concerts World Music Series and the 2020 Rochester Community Celebration, a special audience-less performance from the Chicago-based LatinX band Dos Santos.
No hay salvación dentro de aquí. Abrázame. Salúdame. Y el enemigo está frente. Cual vivir de rodillas, aconteceres de la vida que preguntan lo que soy yo y desenvuelvo lo que soy yo, y aunque lo nieguen lo que soy yo, y así declaro lo que soy yo.
Live from Med City is presented by Riverside Concerts, a department of Rochester City Government.
Rochester Civic Music, also known as Riverside Concerts. They're a department of city government, and they do live music. They feature local artists, as well as artists from all over the world, from numerous genres of music. As part of series like Down by the Riverside free summer concerts in Mayo Park, the Forward Neighborhood Park Concert Series, the World Music Series, the Artist in the School's Music Education Program, the Live from Med City online video series, and many other city celebrations. This is their advisory board. And here are their bosses. Rochester Civic Music, your city music department since 1936. Check them out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter, or at riversideconcerts.com, where you can make a tax-deductible donation to support live music in our community.
Live from Med City, presented in association with Mayo Clinic, Mayo Civic Center, Rochester Park and Rec, Experience Rochester, 507 Magazine, Med City Beat, The Rochester Posse, and Minnesota Public Radio's The Current.
Music isn't a commodity. It's a craft. That's why we go to work every day, pounding the sidewalks and venue floors of communities big and small to discover, empower, and celebrate new and important voices shaping the future of music's history.
This activity is made possible by the voters of Minnesota through a grant from the Southeastern Minnesota Arts Council, thanks to a legislative appropriation from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
allá por el Inder, vereda fija de poblador. Y más allá por el Inder, vereda fija de pobladores. Y espacios forman cimiento y la vida se va viviendo. Y despierta y espanta el sueño, derrumba muros y alrededores. Y se acerca la madrugada y parabienes siguen sonando. Se acerca la madrugada y parabienes siguen sonando. Ahí se anida la cantada y que llega la madrugada. Ahí se anida la cantada, ve que la aurora ya va llegando. ¿Por qué preguntan lo que soy yo? Y desenvuelvo lo que soy yo. Y aunque lo nieguen, lo que soy yo. Y así declaro lo que soy yo.
Hello, good afternoon. We're Los Santos from Chicago. We're going to be playing some music for you for about an hour, and so thank you so much for tuning in and for kind of engaging with us in this virtual setting and context. We're really grateful to be here, first time here in Rochester. So I'm Alex, and I play guitar, keys, and I sing, and really kind of diverse musical background, from everything from traditional Mexican music to jazz and a lot of stuff in between that I've been playing for a long time. But really within the context of our band, we take a lot of those elements and really fuse them together, but really anchored by kind of Latin American song and rhythm, from all kinds of countries, and we'll talk a little bit about that today as we play a bunch of the songs and music we're gonna be showing you. But and that'll be pretty apparent. But yeah, so a lot of that gets distilled into our sound. But enough about me. We're gonna sort of introduce ourselves and tell you a little bit about what we bring to this project. But thank you.
Hello, my name is Nathan Karaganis. I play guitar mostly, and I sing a little bit in Dos Santos. I guess my background is mostly with the guitar. I started out on drums, very strong rhythmic basis, and then quickly moved to guitar, acoustic and electric, and that's kind of where I'm at today. I also make a lot of music on my own. That's probably a little bit more in the electronic version, a lot of bedroom sort of electronic music. But yeah, blending the sounds that we all make ends up being very unique within the context of this band. I'll pass the mic behind me to Pete.
My name is Peter Maestro Vale, and I am the percussionist of Dos Santos. I play congas and minor percussion. My background is I'm Puerto Rican. And I've spent most of my life in between the island of Puerto Rico and Chicago, where I was born and raised. My background is basically a background of salsa and Latin jazz, merengue, and other Caribbean rhythms. And I have been with the band since its inception and have thoroughly enjoyed being able to bring my brand of Caribbean flair to the fusion that is Dos Santos. Thank you.
My name is Daniel Villarreal. I am a drummer of Dos Santos. My background is pretty much I'm born and raised in Panama, and then moved to U.S. My influences are different kind of music, from salsa to jazz to classic rock. I grew up playing a lot of punk rock music, and then I moved into jazz and Latin music, and here with Dos Santos we just mix a lot of different rhythms. We do a lot of we do a lot of our own personalities into the instruments and music, and we blend pretty good together. And we're going to show a little bit of that today.
Hi, my name is Jaime Garza. I was born in Chicago, but was abroad in Mexico and Chicago, traveling back and forth throughout my whole life. So the influences that I have in music also reflect in that, where I was totally bicultural, and so I play and I practice and I listen to music from the U.S. and also music from Mexico. I specialize in Mexican folk music, son jarocho, and I also have been studying and organizing in Chicago this Mexican folk music. And in Dos Santos, I play the electric bass, so I keep it bass heavy and with a lot of rhythm, and exploring through all the genres and the music that are from Mexico and also from the Caribbean, and very happy to be here.
So we start off playing a particular kind of music called cumbia, originally from Colombia, but it's spread all throughout Latin America and the U.S. And we're going to play a little bit of that again in a little while, but first we're going to sort of take you to the Caribbean, circum-Caribbean, to play a number of beats for you, rhythms for you that actually trace back from the Caribbean and to the United States, back and forth. And we're going to take you on a little journey. I'm going to play 3 songs for you that really kind of blend together. But they feature different rhythms. Salsa, which I think a lot of people are familiar with, has both Cuban and Puerto Rican roots, and we're actually going to come back to that at the very end. But there's some of that that's going on in what we're going to be playing for you. But in particular, this sort of rhythms that are taken from salsa, taken from soca, to a lot of people familiar with soca. If you know reggaeton, that's a root of that particular popular music, is soca. And those actually get transported back and forth to the U.S., particularly places like, Florida, New York as well, decades ago, where a lot of this music becomes very popular throughout Latin America and the United States, but it's in those particular places in the U.S. where this music really takes hold and becomes kind of in the realm of popular music. It's one of the reasons we enjoy it, we know it, we grew up with it. But I'll let Pete here kind of demonstrate a little bit, a couple of those rhythms, and see if you can sort of hear them in what we're going to be playing.
So when Cuba and Puerto Rico migrate to New York, basically they created a melting pot of sounds from the Caribbean, from bomba and plena to a tumbao, to different elements of Caribbean music to form what we now know as salsa. And salsa, or as the pattern is called on the congas, tumbao, is played as such. Now, as far as Puerto Rico in particular is concerned, we do have a folkloric rhythm called plena, and this is almost like a mixture of Spaniard dancing, which is more upright, along with African drums called the panderos, and basically the joining of these two were on the island of Puerto Rico and is located originally from Puerto Rico. There is a growing community of pleneros in Chicago, and I'll demonstrate that rhythm as such. And so one of the original rhythms or music that came before salsa that came out in New York was also known as boogaloo, which included forms of jazz and rock and what we now know as salsa. And so basically that's pretty much the same thing, but just more of a rocked out American feel to it.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of boogaloos that anticipate salsa is really soul, kind of R&B heavy, a lot of backbeat, and so we're going to kind of take you through that journey. But we'll begin with this kind of fusion that's sort of soca-based, and I think most people will recognize this rhythm. I think you hear it all over the place now, but it's very much rooted in the Caribbean, and so we're going to get a little weird with you right now with these few of these tunes, so that we're going to fuse together. So, yep.
perder la esperanza, que el frío de tu cuerpo extraña.
you. All right, we're going to get back to where we started with some cumbia. I mentioned it was from Colombia. And actually, before I get to that, yeah, you could sort of hear in this series of songs the soca, the sort of tumbao from the salsa, the boogaloo kind of backbeat funk stuff, and clearly the Puerto Rican plena rhythms, all that play. And clearly what we're playing on top is stuff that's radically different than what's traditional. That's what makes us, with the organ and the guitars and everything else. That's sort of kind of radically different sounds, electric. I mean, in some ways, we're very much a rock band, so it's always on top of mind in terms of what we're doing. But yeah, we're going to go back to cumbia where we started. And again, it's a rhythm originally from Colombia that has spread throughout Latin America. And maybe Pete and Daniel can show you a little bit about the kind of foundation of that. But a couple of things, you always know cumbia because it has that galloping 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a it has that and a nice upbeat to it. But they'll be able to kind of demonstrate a little better, and then we'll play a couple of cumbias for you.
Yeah, then the cumbia rhythm is originally pretty much from based in Colombia, and then is translated to our music and what we do. And like Alex says, the beat of the cumbia and the foundation of the cumbia is that galloping, the ch-ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. Then that's pretty much made with a güiro. It's sometimes metal or a gore instrument that they play with a stick. And then I simulate the same sound here on the hi-hat cymbal on the drums, and it will go something like this. Then I add 8 notes on the bass drum, just to have some foundation on it, and it will be something like this. And sometimes I add a tumbao. Then that's pretty much the combinations I do on the drums. Pete is going to explain a little bit what he does on the congas.
Yeah. So basically on congas, it's a traditional cumbia pattern, and basically I like to divide my hands between the two, my two drums. And the reason I do that is just so that I can have it a little bit more rocked out. And I think it'd be best if we just like all did it together. So go ahead and count us in, Daniel.
So you can tell I'm playing that, at least right here, that same upbeat that Pete was playing that. So, and we're going to do a couple for you that are a little different. Our own, we take a lot of liberty with these rhythms, but that's the core of it. So we're going to start, we'll play 2 for you kind of back to back. So 2 cumbias that are in the style that we do.
Caminando a tu lado, fui conociendo la historia del tiempo que ha pasado y el futuro que no ha llegado, del tiempo que ha pasado y el futuro que no ha llegado. Deseo saber, enséñame, que yo quiero entender lo que es querer en el atardecer, lo que es querer en el amanecer. Caminando a tu lado, conociendo la historia, caminando a tu lado, fui conociendo la historia, el tiempo que ha pasado y el futuro que no ha llegado, y en tiempos que han pasado y el futuro que no ha llegado. Enséñame, que yo deseo saber lo que es querer en el atardecer, lo que es querer en el amanecer. Adentro el que sea cobarde, afuera el que sea valiente, y adentro que se hace tarde, que el enemigo está frente. ¿Cuál vivir de rodillas a aconteceres de la vida? ¿Cuál vivir con manos arriba a aconteceres? El que sea cobarde, afuera el que sea valiente, y adentro que se hace tarde, que el enemigo está frente. ¿Cuál vivir de rodillas a aconteceres de la vida? ¿Cuál vivir con manos arriba a aconteceres?
Thank you. Yeah, so very quickly before we move on, so that you can see we're kind of blending there, not just cumbia, which we talked about, but even some of that kind of backbeat funk boogaloo influence that's there. And there are a couple other layers going on there too. One with Nathan here on guitar, really, I mean, it's a rock guitar solo, and there's a particular version of cumbia from Peru called chicha, which really incorporated sort of psychedelic electric guitar styles. And this is in the 60s and 70s, and still a style that's around today. But we definitely are influenced by that as well. I mean, having electric guitars in the band, but sometimes there are particular songs like that one that you just heard, which is called Undercover, where Nathan gets to shine a little bit in the spirit of, I don't know, Jimi Hendrix, or, you know, take your psychedelic guitarist, of your choosing. And then for the jazz heads out there, yes, we did quote Caravan at the very end. So yeah, there's always some jazz present. So yeah, we're gonna kind of move on to another style from the Caribbean. Specifically, yesterday we played something similar to this as well, but it's a style from the Dominican Republic called merengue, and again, we're kind of having our own take on it, but it also incorporates a little bit of kind of Haitian influence as well, and I think both Pete and Daniel can talk a little bit about that, and we'll play that for you.
So for the next song, I'll be playing merengue. Merengue is actually rooted in Santo Domingo, or the Dominican Republic, and it kind of rivaled salsa in the late 80s, early 90s, and coming out of Santo Domingo, this rhythm is very festive. It's also very fast, but it's very easy to dance. If you go to a Latin dancing social gathering, you'll notice that as soon as merengue comes on, the dance floor gets very crowded. Not because it's so festive, but also because it's so very easy to dance. For the merengue pattern, basically, I tend to keep it traditional, but in the next song, you'll see that I kind of do mix it up. But just to show you what that traditional merengue pattern looks like, I'll give you a quick demo. So you can see that that's kind of the backdrop of the merengue, and it's sort of a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, which makes it very easy to dance. Basically, you just, what do they say? You pretend you're holding a baby in your hands, and then you just kind of like twitch your waist from side to side, and there you have the merengue dance. So hopefully you guys can join us in dancing when we do play. The other part of our song is actually doing a kind of a Haitian soco, and Daniel can sort of speak to that.
Yes, like Peter mentioned, we blend in different rhythms. One of the rhythms that I took was from Haiti, inspired by this band called Tabu Combo, and I do it in the hi-hat. It's just kind of like very straightforward, festive rhythm. It's got something like this. And then blending, sometimes I do it like I incorporate the same things on the toms and on the rims of the four tom and toms, and we can demonstrate that in the next song.
Yeah, so it's, you know, two rhythms from the same island, but two very different worlds, socially, culturally, musically, Dominican Republic and Haiti, and to bring them together in this song and other songs that we do, but then also that clearly incorporate these elements, and they give you a sense of kind of how there's always that foundation there, but we kind of try to take it to another place. So we'll play this song for you. It's not terribly long, but then we'll move on to something else to kind of close it out. Thank you.
La embarcación se va de aquí y me lanzo yo sin despedir. Quédense con los recuerdos tristes de ocupar este malvado espacio que yo jamás vuelvo a regresar. No hay salvación dentro de aquí y afuera ya quiero salir y sentir el aire puro más allá de tanto muro entre los espacios que yo quiero respirar.
Thank you. You'll notice too, a lot of the kind of vocal stuff that I do is there's a lot of kind of melodrama in it, lyrically if you understand Spanish, but I think just melodically too, and that's very much inspired by, you know, kind of Latin American song, really, the kind of drama in it that we're all fans of, and you find it in all kinds of genres, but I definitely, it's something that inspires how I try to treat my voice as an instrument within the band, to kind of lend another kind of layer to things. And so we're probably going to play the last song here. It's kind of a jam, but longer, and it will feature Mr. Nathan Karaganis on a couple of solos within the main part of the song, but then both Peter and Daniel at the very end, some soloing that'll happen there. And the song itself is very much kind of grounded or rooted in salsa, but again, we're taking liberty with these instruments and playing it a bit differently. But maybe both Pete and Daniel can talk a little bit about the rhythms that they're doing, and maybe kind of toss it back around, and Nathan and I might be able to play you a couple of melodies that are also kind of part of what the song is.
Yeah, so basically this song is there's definitely a root of salsa, which is definitely in my wheelhouse. However, with this song, I decided to take a different approach in the beginning, and I'm playing sort of my take on a rhythm called Mozambique. And Mozambique, of course, by the name you can tell it's from Africa, and basically I can demonstrate really quick the Mozambique rhythm. And so I incorporate that into the song. However, the very base of the song is a tumbao or salsa pattern, and so you'll definitely hear the salsa in there, but also in the very beginning, a very mellow and very nice Mozambique. Daniel?
Yes, like Peter mentioned it, he's playing the Mozambique. I do something more in the backbeat, a rhythm on the drums called songo, and also originated from Cuba. And the master of songo, this cat named Changuito, he kind of created. It's pretty like bell-driven and has a backbeat into it. I'm going to demonstrate it right now. then yes, that's pretty much what I'm playing. You know, a little bit more of a funk take into it, adding a little bit of a backbeat forward on the bell. Yes.
Yeah, so can you maybe play that together? Play that in the Mozambique just to get a sense of how it sounds, yeah. Now, if that doesn't make you want to dance, I don't know. And you'll notice what we're doing as a string section is we're really floating on top of that. So just very syncopated, very rhythmic, and it's kind of like water flowing on top of what this sort of rhythmic foundation is doing. But particularly towards the end of the song, I start to play, and Nathan joins me in playing what in Cuban, Afro-Caribbean music people call a montuno, and that word refers to a lot of things, but one of the things that it refers to is kind of a syncopated rhythmic melody that oftentimes is either the kind of melodic foundation of a song, or it's something that it's a melody that gets introduced to a song that has it sort of take flight all of a sudden, where once that element comes in, it sort of brings the song to a different level. So I'll play a few bars and then have Nathan join me, but to give you a sense of what that sounds like. So, 3, 4. Yeah, so that's, again, it's very catchy, very sort of, the melody itself very syncopated. And that, at the point that comes in, you know, in some ways it's a party. Like that's everybody's ready to dance, and if you haven't been dancing already. So we're gonna play this song called Santa Clara. It's off our second release. It's an EP called Phonographic, produced by a good friend of ours, Beto Martinez, from Grammy Award-winning Grupo Fantasma. And yeah, there's a video of this song online too on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. You can check it out. It's on that record. And this is our last tune, and we hope that you enjoy. Thank you so much. Stay safe. We hope that you're healthy. And yeah, thank you so much.
Se goza y se baila, y mensajes de tierra, sierra y la mar. Que se goza y se baila, que se goza y se baila, y rebelde esperanza de todo cambiar. Que se goza y se baila, que se goza y se baila, y rebelde esperanza de todo cambiar. Que se goza y se baila, que se goza y se baila. se goza y se baila, que se goza y se baila, y mensaje de tierra, sierra y la mar, que se goza y se baila, que se goza y se baila, y rebelde esperanza de todo cambiar, que se goza y se baila, que se goza y se baila, y rebelde esperanza de todo cambiar, que se goza y se baila, que se goza y se baila.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Peter Maestro Valle on congas, Daniel Villarreal Carrillo on drums, Nate Caraganis on guitar, Jaime Garza on bass. I'm Alex. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Again, hope you're safe, hope you're keeping healthy, and thank you. Thank you so much.